Hare Krishna. Can we start, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Anshu.
Hi, Anshu. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Shreya.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Who was it?
Krishna Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Chaitanya. So, what do you all think? Shall we start or should we wait?
Wait.
As you say.
Mataji, I'm doing Facebook Live, Mataji. You can start maybe.
Can start?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Kanchan here.
Hare Krishna, Kanchan.
It's my first class.
And background noise. I request please mute. Okay. I request all the devotees keep your gadgets on mute. So that there is no background noise. Anshu, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining. So we'll start now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate giram yat kripahatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinapayana. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to your another session on personality development. So last class, we covered the solutions for all the problems, the material problems and spiritual solutions. And when we were covering about the material problems, we discussed about the four major problems, the four real life problems that are birth, old age, disease, and death. Rest, all the problems that we face in our day-to-day life is just temporary. Right? But these problems, they are certain to have it to everyone. And then we discussed about the spiritual solution. And what was the spiritual solution? Was to connect with the Supreme Lord. Once we get connected to the Supreme Lord, we forget about our problems. And even if we don't forget, at least we'll get the strength to face those problems, right? Then we'll really understand that everything is temporary. This place, this material world is temporary, and we have our own constitutional position to serve the Supreme Lord. Now the question comes, who will tell us about the Supreme Lord? How do we come on to this conclusion that yes, how do we have to connect to that Supreme Lord? So we'll dive into that. But before that, we'll begin with our usual way of starting the class. That is the icebreaker. And I would like all of you to participate and please share whatever you think. And it's no right and wrong answer. It's just for you all so that you can come up with some answers. So here is your icebreaker. Think of a mistake that you committed, realized it later, and you laughed at yourself. Who wants to go first?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Ashra.
Some mistakes I made is sometimes when I am walking through school, it seems like I see a person I know, but then when I go to them, it's not a person I know. It's a little embarrassing. And you just tap on their shoulder and don't know it's like the wrong person.
Okay. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Anyone else want to go ahead?
Hare Krishna Mataji, the mistake that I did was I I know what I submit to my teachers, but sometimes I submit the wrong thing and I got like low grades in assignments sometimes.
I have a question.
So that mistake is just a mistake, right? It's not a deliberate error that you do. Good. Okay. Okay, Anshu. Anyone else? Hey, come on. I want others also to participate. Yes, Krishna Chaitanya, are you there?
Yeah, I'm thinking of it.
Okay, you're thinking. Okay, no worries. Anyone else? Shreya, Kanchan? Anyone else want to go ahead with it?
Sometimes I accidentally submit my assignments too early, then I just laugh.
Submitting assignment early is exactly not a mistake. It's a good thing. The teacher doesn't accept your assignment early or what?
No, it's not like that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move forward. So, yeah. So what we will do is now, next, getting the eyes of knowledge. So how do we get the things? How do we get the knowledge for the things? So here we have first is the pratyaksha praman. So there are three kinds of praman through which we get knowledge. So first is the pratyaksha praman, that is direct sensual perception, visual and kinesthetic, right? So like you can see the diagram here on the screen. First is this visual, then auditory, and then kinesthetic. Kinesthetic is basically through your different sense organs, like sometimes to touch, sometimes to smell, different sense organs, right? That is the pratyaksha praman. Through your senses when you perceive something, okay? Next is the anuman praman, that is hypothesizing based on evidence. That you hypothesized, you sometimes speculate that, okay, like suppose if I give you a perfume, somebody sprays a perfume bottle, then you don't know the exact which smell it is, then you just assume, right? Oh, this is this smell, or this is rose, or there's some kind of speculation that comes in. That is what is hypothesizing something. right? But definitely it is based on some evidence. And then see through the eyes of scriptures. And for last is the Shabda Praman, that is hearing from a bona fide authority. That is through auditory, right? Through hearing. So these are the four things that we will discuss. So we'll discuss about the Pratyaksha Praman, we'll discuss about the Anuman Praman, then we'll see how we get to see through the eyes of scriptures, and finally the Shabda Praman, which is the ultimate authority. And why Pratyaksha and Anuman Praman are not the ultimate authority, that also we'll see in our class today. So these are the subject matters that we'll cover today. Okay. So this is the verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's 7.27 chapter, second verse. Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshyami achesataha yat gyatva neha bhuyognyat gyatvam avishishyate. I shall now declare, this is Krishna is telling to Arjuna, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So this is just a reference. You can always refer, go back and read this Bhagavad Gita 7.2. Okay. Anyways, let's start. Introduction about all those subject matters. So there are millions of books, magazine, periodicals talk about varieties of knowledge. So point is how to get knowledge, right? The subject matter for today is to get knowledge, because in the last class we understood that how the different problems have the spiritual solutions are there for each and every material problem. And that spiritual solution we condensed into one statement: to know and have a relationship with the Supreme Lord. Now, to know the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, how you are going to get it? Are you going to get it through books, through magazines, even the science, history, geography, maths, economics? These are the various subject matter in which the books are available. Now, which is the best source of information that can enlighten us about the ultimate solution to all sufferings? So what is the best source? Where should we inquire from? Shall we inquire from our parents or grandparents, or we should rely on textbooks, or we should rely on science that deals with engineering, machine, etc.? So how we should move forward? So there are three ways to gain knowledge. And what are those three ways? That we'll see. First is Pratyaksha Praman, is seeing, believing. How many of you agree with it? That do you think seeing is believing? Come up. I want answers from all of you.
No.
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 No. Seeing is not believing. Sometimes we say that, oh, I saw something, there was a fight between two friends, and then you become a judge saying that, yeah, I saw this person doing this and that person doing this. And so you jump onto the conclusion that this person is at fault or the another person is at fault. But sometimes even though we see, it may be wrong. We may have the wrong conclusion about it. So we should not come up to any kind of judgments as such. And that's what is Pratyaksh Praman, is seeing, believing. Do you think seeing is believing? So the knowledge obtained by direct sensual perception of form, taste, touch, smell, and sound, utilizing all our five senses. Such knowledge is limited, but not reliable. I'm not saying that Pratyaksha Praman is always wrong. It may not be, but sometimes, most of the times rather, we cannot believe on what we are perceiving through our senses, whether it may be through form, through touch, through taste, through smell, or through sound. Right? It's not 100% authority. We cannot understand the absolute truth, because material things, sometimes we can say that, yes, what I saw is true. Most of the cases it is wrong, But understanding the absolute truth, because we have to keep in mind that all these sections that we'll be dealing towards God, because that's the solution of all our problems. Now, how to come and how to perceive the presence of God, that we have to keep in mind. So to understand that absolute truth through our blunt material senses is not possible, right? First and foremost thing is to know something spiritual. If we want to know about spiritual being through material senses, we cannot perceive it. You cannot understand spirituality through material senses. But regarding all these, our five main senses, definitely not, because all of our senses have these four defects. And what are those four defects? Imperfect senses. Our senses are imperfect. Can you see the picture on the side? What do you see a picture? Come up. What do you see in a picture?
I see half a face.
Half a face. Half a face looking at you.
I see half a face sideways.
Oh, half a face sideways. So that is what the imperfect senses is. This picture is such that it looks like this person, half a face is looking onto us. It's looking to us. And half of the face looks like that it's sideways, right? So this is what our imperfect senses are. We cannot jump on to the right conclusion. So senses have a very limited range of perception. Our eyes can neither see distant objects nor the objects closest to them. Our own eyelids. Can we see our own eyelids? We cannot.
No.
Right? It's the closest that we have, but still we can feel, yes, but we cannot see our eyelids. And even the far distant objects, we cannot see. For example, stars. We can just see some twinkling stars, but actually we cannot see them, right? So, and beyond our 180 degree also, we cannot see. Our eyes are limited to 180 degrees. Maybe a little bit more like if we turn our face, but not beyond that, we cannot see. Similarly, our ears have a range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. That's the range of the voice that our ears can perceive. Here, the example I have written, the dog whistle. There is a whistle for the dog. When you blow it, you will not be able to hear anything, but the dogs are very responsive to that whistle. So the dog whistle, the frequency is so high that the humans can't even hear. When you blow the whistle, you'll not be able to hear. But even a street dog, which is not trained, even that dog can hear that whistle so clearly and will come running. So we can see that even the dogs have better hearing capability than the human beings. Then how can we be proud of our senses? Right? So our eyes, we know that can delude us. Even the ears cannot help us in understanding everything. Even if some senses are amplified, refined by in some instruments, you put some, hearing aid, any knowledge based on sense perception is more perfect than our imperfect senses. So our senses are very much imperfect. So that's the first defect that we have. Okay, you all should memorize this. The first defect in our senses is that our senses are imperfect. The next is tendency to be illusioned. We get illusioned. Like here, what do you all see in this image? Go ahead.
A mirage.
Yes, this is a mirage. But isn't it looks like that the camels are there and then the shadow is there on water? Doesn't it look like? So
Yeah.
what the illusion is, right? And mirage itself is an illusion. And another you can practice at your home also. You can take a stick, put it in a glass jar, which is half filled with water. As soon as you put stick in that water, the portion that is submerged in that water, that stick will bend. It will look like that it's bended, but the stick will be straight. You can always practice that. This is because of the property of refraction. Even this mirage is formed because of refraction, right? So this is what is illusion is. We give our eyes, our senses get eluded, right? So now here the example is, one may take a painkiller medicine thinking that they are all right now and my disease is gone, but the disease doesn't go away. It's a temporary relief, right? It's not the painkiller that cures. Painkiller just suppresses the pain. Our pain, our disease is as it is. But for the time being, the painkiller help so that the nerve, the thing that is paining, the message is not passed to the brain. That message is disconnected through that painkiller. And the message is disconnected, so our brain doesn't perceive that there is a pain in the body. And we think that we are cured. But the reality is different. Reality is that it suppresses the pain. But the moment the effect of painkiller goes away, again we feel the pain in the body. So that is what is illusion. After the effect of the painkiller is gone, one realizes that the medicine has just covered the problem temporarily. This is the second. First was imperfect senses, then we have tendency to be illusioned, and third is tendency to commit mistakes. On a lighter note, there is a caption here that they say we learn from our mistakes. That's why I'm making as many as possible and I'll soon be genius. But that's not true. Okay, this is just on a lighter note. This has been added. So that's the tendency to commit mistakes in all human beings. To err is to human, common saying, right? We may mistake a rope for a snake, commonly. Everybody, we heard so many times. Science, with all its success from beginning, has made multiple mistakes. Even the science is not firm, convicted on their whatever the experiment they come up with and what the results they come up with. Because previously, even the scientists said that they thought that brain was thought to be an organ to cool the blood. That's what their result was. But now even the science has changed, because daily some new experiments are being made, because of the new theories are made, and because of which the results are changing. So even the science is not constant. And we make so many mistakes. So many of you shared that you make mistakes in school while submitting your assignments, or not recognizing a person, so and so forth. And we also make mistakes, especially in writing our essays, in our vocabularies, especially in maths, where we say 2 + 2, 5, 5 - 3 is 1, so and so forth. So these are the common mistakes. But as you know, that it's said that sometimes, yes, our mistakes can be erased by an eraser, but sometimes such mistakes are there, which is lifelong. But through mistakes, yes, we can learn. We can learn our lessons. That's the only benefit of committing a mistake. Through committing a mistake, we learn lessons from our mistakes. And also it is said that we will not get time enough to commit all mistakes in our lifetime, right? So in that case, we should learn from the mistakes of others. You'll not get time, and every one of you will not get enough time in your life to commit all the mistakes possible, right? And there is no need to. So you have to learn from others' mistakes, mistakes of your seniors, mistakes of your parents, mistakes of your peers. You can learn from the mistakes of them. You don't have to commit all the mistakes, okay? It's our natural tendency to commit mistakes. And probably COVID is also a mistake. Right now, we are all facing this pandemic. It is also, we can say it's a mistake, because sometimes, it's, I don't know whether it's true or not, but they say that it was a biological weapon that was leaked out by the Chinese, from their lab. Because of this, the whole world is facing. And the last is tendency to cheat. Okay, 90% of people cheat. To err is human. Sometimes human go beyond their innocent error and deliberately propagate untruth. And sometimes lie, people lie because of fear or because to protect someone. So this is all cheating. And even the big companies, that they will also try to cheat you. They come up with their new policies or terms and conditions. Even some stores, they have this sale going on, but in the bottom of the flyer, they'll always mention some disclaimers that this sale is not applied on this brands or that brand. This is all what is cheating. They cheat. They try tendency. It's a tendency to cheat. So everyone, a human, will somehow or other try to cheat others. So this is what we talk about, the 4 things about pratyaksha praman, right? So what our pratyaksha praman is, that through our senses, when we perceive things, it may not be 100% right. So there are 4 things. And what are the 4 things? The 4 things are tendency to commit mistakes, tendency to cheat, to be illusion, and what was the 4th one? Tendency, imperfect senses. Okay, so imperfect senses, tendency to be illusioned, tendency to commit mistakes, and tendency to cheat. So because of these 4 defects, we cannot rely on pratyaksha praman, or something that we perceive through our senses. So these are the 4 defects that all human beings have. Any questions so far? Okay, if not, then we'll move forward. Now comes your Anuman Praman. Second is Anuman Praman. Can you see this elephant? And there are so many people on that elephant. Hypothesizing based on evidence. So this is, you're making some speculative conclusion. You're just thinking that it may or it may not be. So these are all blind people, right? 5 blind people were, 6 blind people were there, and they were in front of that elephant. Now, because they were blind, they were told like what it is. So one person just touched the body of the elephant, right? See here. This person is just touching the body of the elephant, and he's thinking, oh, this is a wall which is about to fall, right? Because it is little curved. So he thinks that this is a wall and it is about to fall. So this is, he's making a conclusion because of something that is going on in his mind, a speculation. Another person holds on to the leg of the elephant and he thinks, oh, this object is a tree. It's a trunk of a tree. Another person holds on to the ears and he thinks, oh, this is a spear. Another person hold on to, this is an X, right? And another person hold on to tusk and he thinks, oh, it's an arrow, it's a spear. Another person holds on to the trunk of that elephant and he thinks it's a snake. And another person holds on to the tail of elephant and he thinks it's a rope, right? This object is a rope. But when they were all making this kind of mental speculation, they come across a person who told them that this is an elephant, and what you are holding were the different limbs of that elephant. So this is what happened when we make Anuman Praman. It may not be 100% right. It is just seeing a black box and guessing what could be inside. So you just have a black box, you can make thousands and thousands of conclusions and speculations that what is there in that black box. And if you hear a loud noise coming out from a room, you can again make some kind of speculation that it could be a TV, it could be a radio is on, or something is happening, some people were talking, or whether it's a ghost. Anyways, So it's just, you are making some kind of assumptions. And it is said, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. It's a common thing. So don't assume things. Okay. Sometimes when we talk to our peers, our classmates, we assume, right? And because of which the relationship gets spoiled. So don't assume. This Anuman Praman is the worst of anything. Okay. So don't assume. Pratyaksha, okay, fine. At least to some extent, you can say that it's a reliable source, not 100%, but to an extent. But Anuman Praman, you cannot rely at all. Okay. Now, yeah, 6 blind men and the elephant that we have already discussed. So we have to see through the eyes of scriptures. How do we see through the eyes of scriptures? By hearing the spiritual sound vibration of the scriptures, one's hearts become cleansed of all the sinful propensities, that is lust, envy, anger, etc., all the anarthas that is there in our heart. So by hearing the spiritual sound vibration of the scriptures, we get cleansed of all our anarthas. When one learns to see things as per the direction that is given in scriptures, one can see things as they are. And that is what is known as Shastra Chakshu. Chakshu means eyes, seeing through the eyes of scriptures. Only by hearing from authoritative sources, one can know the signs of God. Okay, and hearing the signs of God from a great saintly person is called as darshan. And darshan means sight or philosophical insight. That's why it is said that when you go to any tirtha or any dham, like you go to Vrindavan dham, then don't see dham with your eyes. Why? Because our eyes see always bad. We see bad things and then we'll speculate something and then we'll commit offenses against Dham. So that is why it is said that when especially we go to Dham, we should hear from the authoritative scriptures or some authoritative personalities, some saintly people. When we see Dham through our ears, then we'll come to a conclusion of understanding the importance of Dham. And that's what the real darshan is, the philosophical insight by hearing from a great saintly person. This is what is see through the eyes of scriptures, right? We have to see that. God's greatness has to be heard from his pure devotees. Then we can get the eyes to see God. Otherwise, even if we go to the temples and we see the deity's form, unless and until we know that they are real deities, we'll just understand that it's a piece of marble or a piece of wood or just a mere painting. But when we hear about the God, then we know that no, he is Sakshat Bhagwan. He is the real God who is standing right in front of me. Then you will get to know God's greatness because you hear about his greatness from his pure devotees. So that is why Shabda Praman is the highest and it's the most authoritative way to understand the supreme absolute truth. Shabda Praman. The Vedas assert that the objects beyond material nature cannot be known through experimentally. We have already discussed that if we want to know anything about spirituality through material senses, it won't be possible. We cannot understand God through our material perception. We have to go deep into it. These objects are called achintya. Sometimes something related to the Lord, we always hear the common saying, oh, it's inconceivable. Why? Because we cannot conceive through our material senses. That's why it is inconceivable. But then how can we understand? We can understand when we hear from the Vedic scriptures. Then we'll get to know about the greatness, about the sweetness of the Lord. When we read from the scriptures and we hear from the saintly person, then we come to know who God is and how he himself is longing to meet us more than we longing to meet God. The knowledge attained through Shabda is free from all four defects. What were the four defects? Imperfect senses, illusion, tendency to commit mistakes, and tendency to cheat. All these four defects are, they are nowhere there in when we get the knowledge through Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman is free from all these four defects. Knowledge obtained by Pratyaksha and Anuman are about changing, but it may be good for material achievements, but cannot provide the solution to all our sufferings. And we are too insignificant to fathom even the tiny material creation of God. So we even cannot fathom the tiny creation of the God, then what to talk about having a relationship with that Lord? We cannot. Through our material senses, we cannot. But yes, when we submissively surrender unto saintly personalities, then yes, through their authority, when we hear and we read through the scriptures, we get the right knowledge about the supreme absolute truth. And then, yes, we can fathom his glories. Scientists of today have begun to realize that the knowledge they have is extremely limited. As we say that, oh, science have advanced, technology is so advanced. Yes, it is. But still, even the scientists themselves say that they are also limited to an extent. Here comes the example. We all know the story of a frog in a well. So we need someone who is free from these four defects, can give us the perfect knowledge. If we don't have someone who is free from the four defects, then definitely how can we believe? If I am also having these four defects and you are also having the four defects, then whatever I will say, you will not believe. Why? Because we are on the same platform. But if some saintly person of our spiritual masters, our mentors, when they come and when they speak about the real knowledge, then yes, we understand and we believe them. Why? Because they are free from those four defects to give us perfect knowledge. The knowledge which is free from any defect. The Vedas proclaim that the truth that is contained in the Vedas is a word of God. The wisdom from God is unadulterated and it is pure. And what is the wisdom that is given by the God is Bhagavad Gita, which is the song of God. So if we follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then we know that this Bhagavad Gita is free from all kinds of defects. Why? Because it was spoken by Krishna, who is spiritual, who doesn't belong to this material world. And since he is spiritual, he is free from all the four defects. And because he's free from all these four defects, definitely whatever he'll speak will be perfect. It's a perfect knowledge. So if whatever we get from the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. And since Supreme Lord is spiritual and is free from the four defects, can help us also to understand the right message and help us also to come out from these defects. Otherwise, if we hear from the person on the same platform, then what's the difference, right? So our situation is exactly similar to that of a small frog in a well. Even though we may be scholars, the frog only knows about the well and not anything outside. Kupa Manduka philosophy, the frog in a well. Prabhupada normally quotes this philosophy of Kupa Manduka. Kupa means the well and Manduka means frog. So frog in a well, that is a Kupa Manduka philosophy. So what is that? That once there was a small frog which was in the well, and there was another Mr. Dr. Frog that came from outside and he visited the Atlantic Ocean. And as soon as he saw that Atlantic Ocean, he came to his friend who is in a well, and he tried to explain the vastness of that Atlantic Ocean. Now, this frog, which is in a well, can only, he was just telling, oh, Atlantic Ocean is maybe 20 times bigger than this well, maybe 200 times bigger. Then Mr. Frog was not agreeing. He's saying, no, it's so vast. Why don't you understand? Then he says, okay, maybe 500 times bigger than this well. But this Dr. Frog was not able to explain this frog that how vast is Atlantic Ocean. And this frog, which is in the well, he knows only about the diameter of the well in which he resides. He know that his area of that knowledge is limited to that well. So how he can fathom is multiplying sometimes as compared to the space he is in. But can he really fathom the vastness of this Atlantic Ocean when he'll compare something to the space in the well? No, he cannot. So that's what our case is. Here we see 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, or maybe nowadays we can see a 4-dimensional things. Can we even imagine that in the spiritual world there are 64-dimensional things? We cannot fathom that. Why? Because our senses are so limited and we can perceive only things to whatever is limited to us. That's why to understand spirituality, we need spiritualize. We have to spiritualize ourselves, and we need spiritual eyes also, spiritual ears also, so that we can understand the glory of spiritual life and of the glories of the supreme absolute truth. Otherwise, we are just a frog in a well, right? So the Vedas, they enlighten us on ultimate questions of life that cannot be answered by any speculative research. That's the glory of the scriptures. That's the glory of Bhagavad Gita. That's the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Thoreau says that I bathe my intellect in the stupendous and cosmological philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, in comparison with which our modern world and its literature seem punny and trivial. So that's what even he says, that I bathe my intellect in this philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. It is so important. Even a person like Thoreau can believe that, why can't we? We should also bathe ourselves daily in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, because this Bhagavad Gita is a song of God. It has been spoken by Krishna himself, who is spiritual, who is free from all kind of defects. And through him, if we follow his instructions, then yes, we can come to the right conclusion and develop a relationship with him and can have this perfect knowledge. And to have the relationship with Krishna is the solution to all the problems. And how can we have that? Is through Shabda Praman. Rest all the Praman, especially this Anuman Praman, this speculation is worse than anything, right? So this is what we thought of covering it. I'll stop here now, and I'll see if we have any quick questions or any comments or any realizations you all want to share. Please go ahead.
I like the comparison, the Dr. Frog philosophy. I remember that story a little bit. And how that we are very insignificant compared to Krishna. We cannot understand him.
Yes. Thank you, Krishna Chaitanya, for sharing that. Anyone else? So with today's class, we reach up to the conclusion that we have to bathe ourselves in Bhagavad Gita. So now, since Kartik is approaching, you all know what is Kartik month? Are you all aware of it?
Yes, Mataji.
Very good. This is the month of Krishna. This is the month of our Divine Mother, Srimati Radharani. So can we all promise, you all kids can take a vow that every day you will read at least one verse of Bhagavad Gita and try to understand what Krishna wants to give you the knowledge, what Krishna wants to give you the instruction. Just imbibe those instructions. Just make it a point. At least if one verse also you'll read every day. So 30 days of Kartik means 30 verses. So if you not want to read all the verses, then at least go ahead and do important verses of Bhagavad Gita. You can Google it and you can find it. There are more than 100 verses, important verses. At least do 30 important verses. And trust me, that's really going to help you out. So, this is the take home that you can take up, from this session today, that you can go ahead and, commit to your own self. This is the commitment between you and Krishna. Nobody has to come in between. Nobody is coming to check you. This is the commitment between you and Krishna, you and your Paramatma. You can commit and you can just do one verse, two verse as per your time and schedule. You can commit to it and follow it. Kartik is a very, very auspicious month, and you can always go ahead with it. Anyone else want to say something? Anshu, do you want to say? Anything? Now I want all of you to please come up. What do you like in the session? What you don't like in the session? What's the take home for you? Let's make it interactive for 5-10 minutes more. Hare Krishna. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Then please go ahead.
Just thinking.
Okay, just thinking. Okay. Ashra, do you want to say something? What you like? What's the take home for you?
Yeah, so I just got one. So like I thought this point was kind of interesting, like how you were saying that we don't have like the divine eyes to see like Krishna,
Mm-hmm.
and because of our senses and our like material life, and material life and material body, so we don't have like the spiritual body or spiritual eyes to see Krishna, so we don't know how like um the spiritual world looks like, and we can't like imagine.
Very good. Then how do you believe it?
So like you should like read the scriptures and like
Hear from the authority.
here.
Very nice, Anshu. Very nice. Can anyone tell me what were the 4 defects?
Hare Krishna Mataji. One of them was imperfect senses. The other one was illusion. The other one was committing mistakes. And this one was the propensity to
Very
judge.
good. Imperfect senses. Very nice. Thank you. Okay, so thank you all so much. Just reflect on what I said. Make a kind of a small commitment, very small commitment. Keep your standard very low. Make a commitment to divine couple and see what you can do in the month of Kartik, because when we'll meet next, the Kartik has already will be started, because Kartik is starting from November 1st. So we'll meet after 3 weeks later. So just make it a commitment, and the next class you all can share that, what all you committed and how far you progressed in your commitment. So you can always share that. So we'll stop here now. Thank you all so much for your wonderful, very, very enlightening association, and see you all after 3 weeks. And if you have any questions, any concerns, anything, then you can always reach out to me personally. You all have my personal number. You can always reach out to me. I'm available for all of you. Okay. So that we all of us can help each other. Even you can help me, and I'll help you to grow spiritually. Okay, we are all working together. We are all on same boat, sailing together. So let's hold each one's hand and just move forward. Okay. Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.